My name is Sophie. I made a mistake. I did not see it at first. I thought everything was fine. But I was wrong. I had someone good in my life, and I pushed him away. His name was Ben. He was my boyfriend. He cared about me. He always tried to make me happy, but I did not do the same for him. I was not kind. I did not listen. I was cold. I hurt him again and again. Now he is gone, and I am alone. We met 2 years ago. I was waiting for a bus. It was raining. I had no umbrella. Ben stood near me. He had an umbrella. He looked at me and said, "You can share it with me." I smiled and said thank you. We stood there together. We talked for a few minutes. He was kind. His voice was soft. I liked him from the first moment. After that day, we started to meet often. We went for walks. We talked about music and food. He always listened to me. He remembered small things I said. I told him I liked chocolate. The next day, he brought me a small bar. He said, I remembered. I felt special. I thought, he is a good man. One night he asked, "Do you want to be my girlfriend?" I said yes. I was happy. He was happy too. At first, everything was good. He sent messages in the morning. He said, "Good morning, Sophie." He asked, "Did you eat? Or how was work?" I liked his care, but I did not reply with the same love. I only said short things like okay or fine. I never asked him how he was. Ben made time for me. He came to see me after work. He brought me food sometimes. He waited for me outside my office. I always made him wait. I said, "I'm coming," but I was late. I didn't even say sorry. He just smiled and said, "It's okay." But it was not okay. I didn't see that. One day he made dinner at his place. He cleaned the room. He cooked. He called me and said, "Come at 7. I went at 9. The food was cold. He said, "I waited for you." I laughed and said, "I was busy." He smiled, but his eyes were sad. I saw it, but I didn't care. Ben told me he liked going to the park. He said, "Let's go on Sunday." I said, "Maybe." On Sunday, I stayed in bed. He called me 3 times. I did not answer. Later I said, "I forgot." He said nothing. He just said, "It's okay." But it was not. Once he got sick. He called me and said, "I don't feel good." I said, "Drink hot tea." I did not visit. I did not send a message the next day. He told me later, "I was alone for 2 days. I waited for you." I looked away. I didn't know what to say. He tried to talk to me. He said, "Can we talk?" I said, "I'm tired." He said, "I miss you." I said, "I need space." He said, "I feel like you don't care." I said, "Don't be silly." I did not see his pain. One weekend, he said, "Come meet my parents." I said yes. On that day, I went out with my friends. I turned off my phone. Later, I saw he called many times. I did not call back. The next day, he asked, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You didn't come." I said, "I forgot." He looked at me for a long time. Then he said, "Okay." His birthday came. I forgot. I did not send a message. I did not call. The next day I asked, "How was your day?" He said, "It was just a day." I asked, "Are you sad?" He said, "No." But I knew he was. He once said, "You don't ask about me." I said, "You talk too much." He said, "I want to share my life with you." I said, "I don't want to hear it." Still, he stayed. One night he said, "I feel tired in this relationship." I said, "Then leave." I thought he never would. But one day, he did. He came to my home. He gave me the umbrella from the day we met. He said, "This is for you. Goodbye." I asked, "What are you saying?" He said, "I gave you my heart. You did not take care of it." I stood there. I could not speak. He turned and walked away. I waited for him to come back. One day passed, then 2, then a week. I called. No answer. I sent a message. No reply. I felt cold. I felt empty. I looked at the umbrella. I remembered that day in the rain. I remembered his smile. I remembered his care. And then I cried. For the first time, I cried for him. I told myself he was good. I was not. I looked in the mirror. I did not like who I saw. I hurt someone who loved me. I broke his heart. I lost something real. Now I sit alone. I think about Ben. I think about all the times he waited for me, cared for me, loved me. And I think about all the times I pushed him away. I did not say thank you. I did not say sorry. I did not say I love you. But now it's too late. Because he is gone. And I was the problem. I am sharing my story, hoping they reach someone. Are you there? Are you listening? If so, let me know. Drop a hello or tell me where you're listening from. Just knowing you're here means everything. After Ben left me, I felt lost. My room was quiet. My phone did not ring. I looked at the umbrella on the chair, touched it, closed my eyes. I remembered the rain. I remembered his smile. Sat on the floor and cried. I cried for many days. I did not eat much. I did not talk to my friends. I stayed home. I watched the door, but he did not come. I looked at my phone every morning. I wanted to see his name. I wanted one message. Just one. But there was nothing. I tried to call him. No answer. I wrote, "I miss you." I waited. He did not reply. My heart hurt. My hands felt cold. My head felt heavy. I closed my eyes and said, "Please, come back." But he did not come. At work, I was slow. I did not smile. I did not laugh. My friend Mia saw me and asked, "What is wrong?" I said, "Ben is gone." She said, "Did he leave you?" I said, "Yes. He left because I was not good to him." Mia said, "Do you want him back?" I said, "No. I just want to say sorry." She looked at me and said, "Then go and tell him." That night I walked to his street. I wore a long coat. The air was cold. I saw his window. The light was off. I wanted to knock, but I did not. I stood there. My heart was fast. My legs felt weak. I turned and walked home. I did not sleep. I looked at the umbrella again and again. The next day, I sat at work and thought about Ben. I thought about the day he waited for me in the cold. I came late. He smiled and said, "It's okay." I never said thank you. I never said sorry. I just said, "Let's go." I did not ask if he felt cold. I did not care. He gave me his time. I gave him silence. He gave me care. I gave him pain. He sent long texts. I sent one word. He made plans. I broke them. He loved me. I hurt him. Mia told me, "You must change. Not for him. For you." I asked, "How can I change?" She said, "Start with small things." I listened to her. That evening I cleaned my room. I put my phone away. I made tea. I sat in silence. I thought about the girl in the mirror. I did not like her. I wanted to be better. I started saying kind words. I told the cleaner at work, "Thank you." I asked my coworker, "Do you need help?" I smiled at a woman with a baby. She smiled back. I felt warm inside. I did not feel full of pain. I felt a little hope. 1 week later, I saw a couple in the park. They held hands. They sat on a bench. They looked at each other and laughed. I felt something deep in my chest. I missed that. I missed him. I missed us. I walked to the bench where we once sat. I sat there for a long time. I said to the wind, I was the problem. I said it again. I was the problem. I cried. But this time, the tears felt clean. They did not burn. That weekend, I went to his street again. I did not knock. I just stood under the tree near his house. Then the door opened. He stepped out. He saw me. I saw him. He stopped. I froze. He said, "Sophie?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Why are you here?" I said, "I don't know. I wanted to see you." He looked at me. He looked calm. He looked strong. He said, "I'm fine." I said, "That's good." I took a deep breath. I said, "I did wrong. I was not kind to you. I was not soft. I was cold. You loved me. I broke your heart." He said nothing. I said, "I am sorry. I do not want you back. I just want to say sorry." He looked down. Then he looked at me again. He said, "Thank you." I said, "That's all. Goodbye." I turned to go. Then he said, "Wait." I stopped. He said, "I do not hate you." I looked back. I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I loved you. Hate does not stay in love." I felt tears. I smiled a little. He smiled too. I said, "Take care." He said, "You too." I walked away. I did not go back to his street again. I did not call him again. I did not send more texts. I let him go. But I kept changing. I helped my old neighbor carry her bag. I gave my seat to a man in the bus. I smiled more. I listened more. I stopped saying I'm busy. I said, "Yes, I can help." I looked in the mirror one day. I saw a new face. My eyes were not sad. My mouth was not cold. My hands did not shake. I felt peace. I felt new. One day at work, Mia gave me a cup of tea. She said, "You are different now." I said, "Yes, I feel better." She said, "Ben would be proud." I said, "I hope so." That night I sat by my window. I looked at the stars. I thought of Ben. I said, "Thank you for your love." I did not see it then, but I see it now. I did not need a reply. I did not need him to return. I needed to grow. And I did. Now when I walk past the bus stop where we met, I smile. I remember the rain. I remember the umbrella. I remember the start. I do not cry. I smile. Because I learned. Time moved slowly, but I kept going. Each day felt a little lighter. I woke up, made tea, and opened my window. I listened to the birds. I saw people walk by. Some smiled. Some looked sad. life went on. I went to work. I talked to my coworkers more. I said, "How are you today?" I did not say, "I'm too tired." I listened. I asked questions. I showed care. I was not the same person I used to be. I still thought about Ben, but I did not cry every time. I just hoped he was okay. One Sunday, I went to the park. It was warm and sunny. I sat on a bench and watched the sky. I saw a boy play with his dog. I saw an old man feed birds. I saw two girls take pictures of flowers. Everyone had a moment. I sat there and smiled. I felt calm. I looked at the people and thought, they all have stories. I had one too. After the park, I walked home slowly. I stopped at a small shop. I bought some bread and fruit. The girl at the shop smiled and said, "Have a nice day." I said, "Thank you." "You too." My words were soft. My face was warm. It felt good. When I got home, I made soup. I played soft music. I sat by the window and ate alone, but I did not feel lonely. I used to be afraid of being alone, but now I was okay. I was learning to live with myself. I was learning to like myself. Later that week, Mia invited me to her house. She said, "Let's have tea." I went. We talked about work, food, and family. She looked at me and said, "You look better." I said, "I feel better." She said, "You have grown." I smiled. I felt proud. Mia asked, "Do you still miss Ben?" I said, "Yes, I always will. But now I miss him with peace, not with pain." She nodded and said, "That is good." A few days later, I saw Ben by chance. I was walking to the bus stop. He came out of a store. We looked at each other. He stopped. I stopped too. We both said, "Hi." He said, "How are you?" I said, "I'm well. And you?" He said, "I'm good." We stood there for a moment. The street was quiet. I asked, "Are you happy now?" He said, "Yes, I am." I said, "I'm happy for you." He looked at me and said, "And you?" I said, "I'm getting better. Every day." He smiled. I smiled too. I said, "Thank you, Ben, for everything." He said, "Thank you too." We stood there for a few seconds more. Then he said, "Take care." I said, "You too." We walked away in different directions. That night, I thought about that moment. I did not feel sad. I felt something new. I felt free. I felt strong. I knew I would be okay. Weeks passed. Life became simple again. I went to work. I cleaned my home. I cooked meals. I met Mia on weekends. I helped my neighbor with her garden. I said kind words to people. I looked at the sky. I watched the rain. I sat in silence. I enjoyed small things. I wrote a letter in my mind. I did not write it on paper. I just said it inside my heart. Dear Ben, you helped me see myself. I did not treat you well, but you stayed. You gave me time, care, and love. I gave you pain. I did not see your heart, but now I do. You helped me grow. I will never forget that. I hope you find someone who sees you from the start, someone who gives you what I did not, someone who says thank you every day. I was the problem, but I changed. I am better now. Thank you, Ben. I did not send this letter. I did not need to. It lived in my heart. It was part of my healing. One day, I looked in the mirror. I saw a calm face. My eyes were soft. My mouth had a small smile. My hands were not cold. My heart was not heavy. I was proud of myself. I was no longer full of regret. I was full of truth. I do not wait for Ben anymore. I do not hope he will come back. I do not wish for old days. I look at now. I think about tomorrow. I want to be kind. I want to stay soft. I want to help people. I want to live with care. I still keep the umbrella. It stays by the door. I do not use it. But I do not throw it away. It is part of my story. It is a memory of love. It is a memory of change. Some nights, I walk outside and look at the stars. I say, thank you. Not to anyone, just to the sky. For pain, for truth, for the chance to begin again. Because I did begin again. And this time, I will not be the problem. I will be the peace. I hope you have enjoyed the story. Like and comment if you want to hear more soon.